Hi, and welcome back to The Positive Side with Larry and Shar. I'm Larry Rifkin, sitting beside me, my creative partner, Sharon Pinoni. And today we're going to talk about stilling our mind, about meditation, about getting to a place of peace within ourselves. I know there's something going on right now that we happen to be involved with, and that a lot of people are, that is involving Deepak Chopra
Who's
and
an
Oprah.
amazing spiritual teacher.
Unbelievable. I can only speak for myself, but one of my mentors, one of my
As far as I go back, yeah.
Yeah,
As far as I go back, when I started my own personal self-exploration and self-growth, he's been a part of it.
he is one of the most amazing speakers I've collected, and I've been blessed because I've gone to see speakers my whole life. My father started me at a very young age, and a lot of these speakers are very monotone and can't get your attention. And Deepak is not that way. Deepak, his message is received.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, our show from last week that we talked about receiving, his message is received openly because of the way that he talks. But there's a meditation going on right now. It's a
21 days. It started yesterday. So if you haven't signed up yet, it will be a week into it, almost a week into it. So make sure to sign up for it. By the time this airs, I think we'll be a week into it. So
Absolutely. And you can sign up. It's I did it, I think, through the Oprah show.
You can come to our Facebook page. We have it on our Facebook page, and we have a link to it. Or you can come to our blog. Go to the site, go under blog, and you'll see. I mean, you can't miss it. Of course, Oprah's beautiful face is there, and it's got all the details, and there's a link on there. It's very simple to do. And the cool thing about it is, personally, I was a little hesitant because I've always had these thoughts around meditation of it's going to take a lot of time. I have to, put myself in a certain space for it and all of that. And what I'm learning and what they're teaching us, and that's another reason why I like Deepak, because of his belief on meditation. And he's a man who does it, just so you know, from 4 a.m. in the morning until 6 a.m. in the morning. He meditates for 2 hours. And he will even tell you, he's not the normal person. His lifestyle allows him to do that. But this meditation is very short. I think yesterday was between Oprah's introduction and him talking a little bit about it and then taking you through it. I think total was less than 20 minutes.
I think as you get further on your path and more disciplined in this, we're able to get to that state a little bit easier with a little bit less challenges as we go along. I know when I life coach one of my clients, very first step that I do with them is I've got to make sure that they're in a place of calm and of peace and of being open to receive.
It's not easy to get there.
It is not.
It's not.
And
I'm
you
like
know,
there for a half a second, and then all of a sudden, them crazy thoughts start
because
coming up.
the
monkey
chatter,
chatter,
the everything that's going on in our heads. And I started my personal meditation, and what I try to guide other people when I'm doing always starts with a breathing exercise.
They did talk about breathing.
And I met that monk. I went to a lecture last summer here in Sarasota. A monk from one of the from Tibet came in and did a lecture series, and one of the programs on his lecture series was talking about our breathing, and he called it, I love this term, wind energy, and how we don't breathe correctly here. And I'm one of the first ones to admit that I don't.
We breathe from here versus from here,
down in our
from the
solar
diaphragm,
plexus,
yeah.
and bringing it in. But when you do that and you oxygenate the blood and you're able to start to relax yourself and put yourself in a position to be open to relaxing our mind, to stilling our mind. I will tell you that there are many spiritual practices. And I've been on my spiritual path for a while. Some of the spiritual practices out there I find very simple. It makes a lot of sense and it's really easy to do. And oh yeah, why didn't I realize this when I was 20 years old? Not that I'm not far from that now, but but there are
It's all in your mind.
there are other areas and stilling our mind and closing the chatter that goes on is something that takes a lot of discipline, and people that are on a path for a long time work at it, but I don't think ever actually achieve that final step of being able to block everything else out and still your mind. And
I think here's what I'm doing. First off, it was a commitment, okay, a 21-day commitment. They say that is the beginning of a change. It actually, now the science shows it takes more than that, but you've heard that before. Give it 21 days. Right. So first off, it was the commitment. Second off, it's the discipline of picking a time of day for me. Now, Deepak suggests either first thing in the morning or before you have your dinner at nighttime. And because somebody asked the question, does it matter what time of the day? Those are his suggestions. So first, I committed to it. Second, I committed to the time of day that I'm doing it. That's the discipline part of it for me. I mean, I think it's something that anything that we want in life, for me anyway, anything that I've wanted in life that I wanted to grow from, it takes the commitment and it takes the discipline, because I come up from a background where I didn't have structure, I didn't have discipline and I didn't have clarity, and all of those things kept me out there and scattered all over the place. So the more I walk on this journey for myself, the more I recognize that those are not, I was such a rebel. I thought that those were bad things. But there is a happy medium, and now I recognize that I actually have more peace in my life because I've set some of these boundaries for myself.
You're 100% correct in anything that we do, and again, I talk from personal experiences, and I'll share with you. Not a lot of people now know. Sharon knows this. A year ago, on this date, I was 340 pounds. I was
It was a year.
A year ago, I was 340 pounds. And I knew that I didn't want to be there. And it took a commitment and it took discipline. It took me making up my mind, and that's what I tell people. But
don't you think it's more than that?
Yes, it is. But if you don't have those two, you can't get to the more than that.
Right.
Those two are the first steps in order to get there.
If it was that simple, then we'd all be rich, skinny, and happy.
Discipline and commitment are not that simple to really commit.
It's not just going, I'm just going to be this today. That hasn't worked for me anyway. It's all of these steps, and that's what you say you do. You looked in the mirror, you said, I don't want this anymore. You got clear on what you did want in the sense of losing the weight, and then you committed to yourself.
Absolutely, and I think...
And that works with anything.
Absolutely, and it doesn't even have to be on a spiritual path, on anything in life. If you want to make a change, and yes, habit starts 21 days. You're right. Science today is now telling us that
90 days to actually change the reception of your brain.
And once you make that change and you commit to it, and you go through those 21 days, it becomes route now. It becomes part of our life. It's not something that we think about. In the beginning of me losing weight, and I will tell you, I never went on a diet in my life because I think that's a dirty word, and it's a word set up for failure.
Dirty word.
You have to know my definitions of dirty words. I made that commitment. And in the beginning, everything that I did took me thinking about it and realizing it and making sure I don't put that into my mouth, making sure I don't go up to another table.
Was it a battle?
Oh my God, yes.
Within yourself?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Especially for the first 21 days.
Yeah.
Once you start to reprogram your mind, and after 21 days, you're building onto a habit at this point. And once you start, it becomes less of a battle and less of a battle and less of a battle.
Your mind is tricky, right? So you go out, and when you're at the beginning, for me, when I'm at the beginning of something, my mind is tricky. It's like, well, you're supposed to do that at 1:30. If you wait until 2 o'clock, and it's these little teeny thoughts that start to creep up, and then all of a sudden it's 2:30, and then all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock, and then all of a sudden I didn't do it. right?
Absolutely, it's gone. It's in our rearview
You
mirror
can
at
have
this
one
point.
piece of pizza.
Yeah, I remember. I remember a year ago somebody who was helping me on my path, telling me it's okay to cheat on weekends.
And for
It
me
was
that
her.
yeah, and for me that works, and for me that works. But I
For
will
me,
tell
it
you
couldn't.
this. I'll share this with you. A year ago, I personally was in much better shape than I am now. I have just bought the tapes that I'm going to do because I cannot with the way everything's going right now. I cannot find the time for myself to get to the gym. However, I will not accept that as an excuse because I know that I can be healthier than I am right now, and I want to be. So I've bought tapes so that I can start doing it in the house. Now I've got the tapes. I've had them for 2 weeks, and I haven't started yet. I have not made my commitment date and time, and that's how. I mean, that's that little thing. You can do it tomorrow. But
Absolutely.
I haven't made the commitment, and that is, I know exactly, I haven't written it down, I haven't told somebody this is the day I'm going to start.
Yes, and making a commitment means that you're not going to allow barriers to come up. You're not going to allow excuses. Bottom line, that's the word I'm looking for, excuses to come up. Again, and I relate stories based on my own personal experiences. I was working out, as you know, in a gym every single day, every single morning. These past 4 months, I've had an issue with one of my children is very sick, very ill. And we had to change environments, and my whole lifestyle has absolutely changed. And I no longer can go to the gym. I no longer have that luxury. Does that mean that I have to stop what I'm doing? Absolutely not. Because you know what? I had made a commitment. I made a commitment to getting into better shape, and there was nothing that was going to stop me. So now, I can't make it to the gym. That's fine. It's just how it is. So I do my exercises in my house.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, don't have the excuse. But, making a commitment, I don't know about for you, but for me, when I'm making a big change in my life, something that it's not going to be in a couple of days. It's, you know what I mean? It's not a change that it's going to all of a sudden in a couple of days. They're big. They're big. I have to actually make it bigger than me. I have to include something beyond myself in the commitment. And those are the times where I know I've really kept it. And then after a certain amount of time, it just is.
Okay, I want you to expand on that. What do you mean something bigger than you? You want to make a change in, take me, my life, my weight. I wanted to make a change in my weight. Are you talking about being bigger than you, meaning my kids? I want to do it because I want to be around for my
Adding
kids.
something into it. So a couple, when I quit smoking the first time, I made the commitment to me, and then once I started, working out and eating better and picked my quit date and all of that, I signed up. So my quit date was in March at this time, and I signed up for the 3-day breast cancer walk, which was going to be in October of that same year. So first off, I made the commitment to that, to raise money to that, and to walk in that, and to represent women and men and everybody else that is involved with that particular type of cancer. It was a big commitment. So, you know what I'm saying? So it was like I made, the original commitment was to myself. The thing to take me over those days where maybe I wasn't going to honor my commitment to myself was the second commitment, which was to somebody else. So I really pride myself on being somebody, if I make a promise, I keep my word. So, that part of it just helps me. So the same thing with this 21-day commitment to meditation. For me, I did a shout out on the website. I did a shout out on my Facebook page, and I said, this is what I'm doing, come join me. So now there are people that I know because they answered me back saying I'm joining. So now in my head it's like, it's not just me showing up in that space, it's other people. I don't know when they're signing on or whatever, because it's, it's not like
Private.
you're in a group that way, right? But you can journal in there. It's really cool. So if you haven't signed up, sign up. But in my head, I'm committed to other people.
That's very interesting.
It's a backup commitment.
I've never looked at it that way, and I can see how that can help. I've always looked at it as an internal commitment. That if I make a promise to myself, and then I think that
See,
there
that
are
sounds good
other
to me,
things.
but I have let myself
You know-
down many times over the years. I have let myself down. I mean, I've gotten better, but it's hard. Don't you think it's hard? Because it's in my own thoughts.
The chatter
Yeah.
that always gets in.
So that's why I'm doing the meditation. Get rid of that chatter.
Yeah, and it's true. And yes, it is hard. But anything in life worth its salt doesn't come easy. It takes a commitment. It takes discipline, 2 words you used in the beginning of this show. And it takes absolutely knowing that you're going to get there.
Yeah. The cool thing is, in my opinion, syncing these two things up at the same time, because when you make a change, it's uncomfortable, and we go through things. So, you're going to work out, I'm going to work out, other things going on. This commitment of meditation is a calming and peaceful commitment. It's not stressful. The only thing is making sure that I have the time. So to me, it's a good thing to sync the two together, because when you're starting to change your habits, you have reactions. Your body has reactions to it. Like you said, habits are hard to break. Well, I'm used to doing this, and it's going to be hard for me not to do that.
Yes, and when we make the commitment and we apply the discipline, we can get over everything. When I started my journey of losing weight, number one, a little bit different than you, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want anybody to know, because in case I failed, I didn't want anybody to know.
See, that's why I'm telling people. It's another thing.
But during that time, unfortunately, my mother passed away. So I live down here in Florida, and all of my family is up in New Jersey, Philadelphia, New York. And when I went up there, everybody was amazed, because I hadn't told anybody what I was doing. I never put it out there. I never said anything. I made the commitment to myself. I'm going to do this for me, and yes, for the boys. And yes, for the boys, but mostly for me. And I knew that I was going to do it. And what I did on one day, I didn't pick a start date. I didn't do anything. I gave up all of the food that I ate, which was crap food. I haven't been through a drive-through, and I can't tell you when. One of the harder things that I did, that I just threw in there because somebody told me and I got into the chatter in my head, I gave up coffee, which I know and a lot of people who've worked with me in the past know. I've been I would drink 6-8 cups of coffee a day. In the morning before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I would be on my 8th cup. And yes, it was very difficult. But if we keep in our mind's eye where we want to be, remember, it's not our job on how we're going to get there. It's our job to keep our eye on the goal. And I knew like I knew. I love that part from The Secret. That I was going to be healthy, and I was not going to be winded when I walked from my car to my first step. And yes, there was nothing that was going to stop me. There wasn't a power on the earth that could have stopped me from accomplishing that goal.
I have a question, because you said something about failure.
Yeah.
And I want to know, how do you define that for yourself? Because I like to say I fall forward, because I've learned for myself that really failure is if I don't take any step at all. And it's not even failure, it's just
inaction.
Yeah, inaction. So if I step in the direction of something that I am committing to, or I want, or whatever, I try not to define the end part of what I think it should be. I try to step, and maybe I learned this, when I got out of the rehab, and you learn to take things one day at a time, one moment at a time, one second at a time. Sometimes, depending on what it is, maybe that was part of it. But I want to say that I try not to put that into my equation. Well, what if I fail? Because I really don't think I think if we try, we don't fail.
You know what? You're right, and I think that wasn't my primary motivation for not telling people.
Because in whose eyes would it be? So say you had lost 20 pounds and your goal was 60 pounds. Those people that saw you 20 pounds less were going to be like, wow, you lost 20 pounds.
340 pounds, 20 pounds, you won't even notice.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with you on that. And your body knows that you lost 20 pounds. And I'm just throwing numbers out.
And I have been blessed. I lost 130 pounds in less than a year. But yes, it took the commitment, it took the discipline, magic words, absolutely magic words, to do that. And yes, when it comes to meditating, to put ourselves in a state of relaxation, in a state of...
It's a commitment.
Yeah, it is. And I like what you said. And I think with my life coaching people, I think it and I don't say it. But I like the fact that you pick a specific time of day every day and do it. By accident, and I don't believe in accidents, by whatever, I choose, to do it first thing in the morning. I start my day off.
Well,
Lately,
he gave those 2 different times. And the other cool thing that he did, if you haven't signed up yet, is he gave you a mantra to say, which really helped with my monkey chatter because I was focused on the words. But, again, come and join in on it and give us input on, how are you doing with this? I mean, I love learning from other people.
And they say we learn from everybody that we encounter. I know that I do. It doesn't matter if they're 5 years old or if they're 105 years old. It doesn't matter if they're from the United States or from Asia. It never matters. I love learning, and I learn from every single person I know.
So fall forward with us.
Absolutely.
And remember...
come to the website.
Oh, yeah.
www.amazinguniversetv.com and give us your input. Give us your thoughts. Become part of the community blog. Come be part of it.
There's other shows. And
there's so
cool
much
stuff.
information out there. And until next time.
Remember, there's
always a positive side